Hello YouTube, and welcome to the comic book channel. This is your first time here, and you like what you see, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up and leave a comment if you can. Let me know what you think about the book that I'm reviewing today. And also, I post a new video every single day, so come back tomorrow and check out whatever I posted then. So today I'm doing a comic book review, and it is on The Lost City Explorers. This came out this past Wednesday, which was June 20th, 2018. And it's an Aftershock book written by Kaplan. Who, the only thing I the only credits I saw to his name, or the only thing I remember him by, is Port of Earth. So, I don't know if he's done anything else or not. Sorry, I didn't bother to even look up the, illustrator, colorist, or anything. But I will get into why in a moment. So either way, this book starts off in some kind of, you're like being thrown into some kind of like experiment or something, kind of. I don't really know how to explain it. You see that there's a group of like scientists or whatever doing stuff. And it's made known from there that they have basically opened up a portal to the city of Atlantis underneath Manhattan. And it says through ancient music, which isn't really explored in this issue, so I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. But you do see some like musical notes happening and stuff, so I'm sure that would be a larger part of the story later. Anyway, so we go from that into the main guy conducting the experiments, whose name is Dan. There's like a being in the water who grabs him and takes him out, brings him into the water, and it looks like he got free, and then I don't really know what happened after that. Then we cut to a girl whose name is Hell. Her real name is Helen, I guess, but Hell for short. Hell? I don't know. Her name's Hell. And she is the most annoying character ever. She sucks. Like, she's like an angsty like teen girl who's at like some show, like, some concert, and she's like, ugh, my life is terrible. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to go to college, but I don't want a job, but I don't want to do anything. And that's how she comes across, and it really sucks. And I get, for character development reasons, why we would put her in that spot, and she needs a purpose, and she's at the crossroads in her life and all that, but she sucks. This character is terrible. I really, she had no redeeming quality whatsoever, and I was like, ugh, she really sucks. Her friend sucks, she sucks, the band they're seeing sucks, they all suck. And so her and her friend are at this concert. Then they leave the concert, they go home, they're walking back to Hell's house, and they see a cop car, and she's like, oh no, that's in front of my house, what's going on? They walk in, and the cops and her brother basically let her know that her dad has died. And she's very sad. Then we cut to a funeral. They have a funeral for her dad, but there's no body, so make a note of that. There's no body at the funeral, which, if you don't see the body, they're not dead. That's what they always tell you. Never, always ask to see the body. I read that somewhere, just in case that ever comes up. Hopefully it doesn't for you, or me. But just in case, always ask to see the body. And then I would say from that, and that takes up like half of the book, or maybe more. From that point on, then it started to get interesting. Because before that point, I hated this book. I tried to read it and put it back down like 3 times because I thought it was terrible. I thought the art sucked. The writing was really, really bad. The dialogue was really bad. The character was terrible. I couldn't read this character. I hated her. But then, yes, at that point in the book, after the funeral, it starts to pick up. It starts to get kind of good. Because we see a guy from a corporation, and that's going to sound cliche and everything, but I can't remember the corporation's name or the guy's name or anything. But he comes up and he's like, hey, listen, I'm sorry about y'all's loss. Your father was a great man. He worked for us. Sorry about the gas leak that happened and killed him. And you guys are never going to have to worry about anything again in your entire lives. If you just sign off that this was a gas leak and take the check. And Hell's very like, oh, I'll never have to worry about anything ever again in our lives. I won't have to worry about going to college or getting a job. This is awesome. And the brother thinks the same thing and whatnot. Of course, from there, Hell is then next contacted by her dad's partner, work partner, lab partner, whatever you call it. And she's like, hey, this is what happened. She tells her exactly what happened. We were doing this. Your dad had all these documents in his computer, and I need him to, because he's still alive and I can get him back. And, okay, here's another kind of annoying part, but I get why it was written in there and whatever. Like, she just takes it for face value, like, the second that lady tells her that. Like, oh, okay, my dad's still alive, and you guys were going to the ancient city of Atlantis and opening a portal. Okay. There's no fight, there's no struggle, there's no, like, really? Prove it to me then, or that's stupid, I don't believe that, or anything. She's just like, okay, that's what happened. I got you. So that's unrealistic. This angsty teenage girl who won't even get a job at Starbucks or go to college is just okay with believing that her dad was, had found the ancient city of Atlantis through some portal. But whatever. You gotta kind of suspend some disbelief in comic books, and we all know that. So, from there, she's like, okay, I'm going to go get my dad's computer. I'm going to bring it to you. We're going to do this. So she runs home, only to find that her house has been broken into, and her dad's lab has been ransacked, and the computer's gone. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. There's not really anything else to say there. So that's it. Like I said, from the point of that funeral on, the book gets really interesting. It gets really good, and I was excited to read it after that point. I think I was more really excited that it didn't suck anymore. And I don't even know that it, like, brought me into its world and really, like, I was excited about it, or I was just like, wow, it's not sucking now. Maybe both. Who knows? Maybe there's no way to separate that. But from there, I really started to enjoy it. And again, the only problem I had at that point was Hell just accepting, this outrageous claim that her father's partner told her. But yeah, it's so to get in. So that's obviously the entire book. But to get into my review of it, again, like picking it up, I really hated it. I thought it was really terrible till I got to the middle. It was impossible to read. I can only think of a handful of times that I've picked up a book and been like 2 or 3 pages in and set it down. And I did that 3 times with this book. Just because I was like, I'm not going to make it through this. And I kept trying, and I don't know why. And I'm glad I did, but it's not something I usually do. Usually, if I pick up a book and I don't like it at first, then I just set it down and I don't pick it up again. But yeah, I'm glad I did with this one. I know I critiqued it already, but the writing for Hell's character, at least in that first half, is lazy. It's bad. It's okay to make a cliche character and give them cliche dialogue and stuff like that, but you still need to make them interesting. You either need to make us, like, care about the character in some way. I mean, you can't make the character that I'm supposed to care about, like, you can't make me hate them because they're a shitty person who sucks. Like, if I met Hell in real life, if we were introduced, like, as friends, and, somebody's like, hey, this is Hell, and I shook her hand and met her, and she was just like, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't want to go to college, and I don't want to get a job, and life is just, I don't understand. I'd be like, okay, cool, good to meet you, bye. And I would hope to never run into her again. And that's not really what you want from your main character out of a book, but whatever. Maybe it's got a bigger plan, and maybe that will work with that character. But in this issue, it didn't until that point. So the writing can get a little lazy in here, as I said there, and as I said with Hell, just accepting what her dad's partner brings to her. I don't think that any of that's realistic. And the other characters seemed okay enough. They seemed, they all kind of seemed like archetypes and cliches and stuff, but whatever. I mean, there's a place for that. The art, the first couple of pages, I was a little into it. I think again until we got to Hell, and then I just started to think this looks like that weird photorealism, looks traced, the backgrounds don't look good. I don't think it's a great looking book. It looks okay once we get past those first few pages. But when we get close-ups on characters' faces and stuff like that, it doesn't look that great. So I don't know. I mean, I think, given Port of Earth and whatever, Zach Kaplan probably knows what he's doing, and he'll probably execute well through an entire run, but this first issue had way too many ups and downs. And it's an Aftershock book, and those are usually, edited in a way to where they leave in some of this stuff that I feel like a Marvel or DC or even Image book would edit out. And I just feel like that's in there. That's kind of like the writer being able to execute that entire story and dialogue the way they want without being heavily edited, with the exception of something like Animosity. I feel like that has a pretty good that's written a little bit better than some of these other Aftershock books, but it could just be the writer editing his work as he goes, and not relying on an editor to do it for him. This definitely could have used another edit, for sure. And it could have used some perspective, for some of that dialogue and character development, in my opinion. But all in all, I think I would give this book, I'm gonna go, gosh, it's gonna be hard because I almost see it as two different books, from the beginning to the middle to the end. I'm gonna give it a 6, only because after that middle point, and once I really started to get into the story, I was really interested. I'd actually give it a higher grade if it had that at the beginning, obviously, and if the artwork was a little better. But it didn't, and it's not. So I'm gonna go 6. I definitely suggest you read it. Let me know what you guys thought. If you felt the same thing, the pacing in this book and the way it was written and stuff like that, or if you were into it from the beginning, or if you hated it, or what you thought. So please let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to know what other people think about this book. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. See you tomorrow.